Vinnie Sunseri, I hope you're doing well on a very smoky Monday in Tuscaloosa.
Hey, good here, good here. It's always good when you're able to go up to Knoxville and smoke a cigar after a game.
No doubt, no doubt. What a performance. What a domination in Knoxville.
I mean, they went in and did what they were supposed to do. This Alabama team's proving itself to be a national championship team. And whenever I said on Friday, I want them to go in and prove that they are the Alabama team that everybody's talking about. And they did that. Tua came in and did exactly what he was supposed to do. This defense played spectacular. They got turnovers. They got pressure on the quarterback. They made the quarterbacks feel uncomfortable. They didn't let them have a lot of success. And whenever you have 117 yards from one wide receiver, 72 yards from another, a quarterback that throws for 306 yards and 4 touchdowns on only 19 completions, I think that's a pretty good day. And I think you're going to have a lot of success. And I don't think a lot of teams are going to be able to compete with you.
Vinnie, would you say that this is the best performance so far in this year from the defensive side of the football?
I'd say it's up there. I think they're starting to find their way and starting to understand that so this is what my dad told me one time. There's 3 leagues. There's the NFC, there's the AFC, and there's the SEC. And if you have success in the SEC, then you go on to play in the NFC or the AFC. And if you take a week off in the SEC, you can lose. And you've seen it. Kentucky lost. LSU has lost. Georgia has lost. It's the closest thing to the NFL. And if you don't come in and week out and try and get better and try and win each week and trying to improve yourself each week, then not only can you not make it through Saturday, but then you can't get to where you want to get at the end of the season. And I think this team's finally starting to figure it out on defense. They had already figured it out on offense, but for them to be as good as they're going to be, hopefully on defense with this offense, it's going to be one of those games where Tua might not even be in the fourth quarter in the national championship game.
Yeah, I mean that's it's hard to say, but I mean who would think that we would be saying it going into week 9 that this guy's yet to take a snap in the? I mean, think about what we're saying. We're not talking about I guess we are in one situation, a little bit of an injury that creeped up, but we're talking about based on performance, he has not had to play in the fourth quarter. That sounds like fantasy type statistics that we're throwing out.
I never really played video games. When everybody plays video games and they create a player on Madden, they're like, this guy's so good that at the end of the game, I take him out because I don't want him to get hurt so I can play him next week. And that's what this Alabama team is doing right now. They are doing something that's unprecedented. When Tim Tebow was at Florida, and they were the Florida of great with Percy Harvin, Riley Cooper, Aaron Hernandez, all those, the Pouncey brothers on the offensive line, and they had that spectacular defense. They weren't doing what this offense is doing right now. He wasn't putting up the numbers that Tua is putting up right now. And I contribute that because he's not a college great quarterback. I think he's a great NFL quarterback. And I think Tua's game translates better to the NFL than Tim Tebow and all these other guys ever did, because he's someone that can put the ball where it needs to be, when it needs to be there, and he can process information at a high level. And it's something special, and I'm just excited that I'm an Alabama fan and I'm not an Auburn fan.
Hey, there's no doubt. But I mean, Auburn found some confidence against a very bad Ole Miss defensive side of the football. The Auburn apparel's out in this state. The flags are back out. The T-shirts are back out. Auburn is mighty, mighty high on a Monday following the Ole Miss game.
You know, I think they have to find some type of excitement this week, because whenever they play Georgia, I don't see them having a lot of success. Whenever they play Alabama, I don't see them having a lot of success. So as happy as they are right now, I think they definitely have 2 more losses on the schedule. And I think, you know, Gus might have saved his job and saved himself from getting put on the hot seat by not losing to Ole Miss, but I still think there's a lot of pressure on him right now. You started off the year as a top 10 team and you did not live up to it for another consecutive year, and you've only been to a national championship once and you didn't win it. So I mean, there's a lot of pressure. Auburn's boosters, Auburn's fans, Auburn's students want to win, and they want to win at a high level, and he just hasn't been able to do that consistently at Auburn.
Vinny, when you're playing the type of football that Alabama's playing right now, I know bye weeks are good. You get the chance to heal up, but as far as this team with the momentum right now, does a bye week do you good, or does it do you a little harm that you kind of lose this rhythm, this momentum right now?
You know, college football is a game of momentum and a game of rhythm, but whenever you end a football game like they did and have the amount of success that they had in a football game, you feel good going into a bye week. Now, if they would have squeaked a win by, and they had a lot of turnovers, and their defense didn't play well, and they had a lot of mental errors, and Coach Saban after the game was furious about the performance, then thinking, okay, well, how are we going to go into Baton Rouge probably during a night game in a top 10 performance, top 5 performance game? I mean, this is comparable to the 2011 game of the century, except this time we're in Baton Rouge, and we're going to have to go in there and take a W from LSU on their home turf. And whenever you have the success that they had on Saturday, and then you allow yourself to get healthy and kind of recuperate and kind of detach from football for a couple of days and then come back hungry, excited, and coming back into a game that, I mean, quite frankly, this is the game that we've been talking about all year, and this is the game that we'll probably talk about whenever college football playoff rankings come out, because one of these teams is definitely going to be in the college football playoff. It just depends if we think another one of these teams deserves to be in the college football playoff also.
Vinnie, I certainly want to get your thoughts on a lot of different things. Let me start, because it seems like every week Nick Saban is asked about Quinnen Williams because he has another dominating performance. I'm going to ask you again about Quinnen Williams because he continues to maybe be the surprise player of 2018.
You know, I love Alabama players because the ones that buy in, the ones that really trust the process, the ones that believe that if they believe what Coach Cochran does, and they work their butts off, and they do everything in the offseason that they're supposed to. And then in camp, they listen to Coach Saban, they listen to Tosh Lupoy, and they try and get better. Isaiah Buggs and Quinnen Williams are two of my favorite players right now because they weren't the most heavily recruited people. Not everybody thought they were going to be the greatest players of all time, but they're coming in and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do, and they're doing it at a high level. And if they continue to do this right now, they're going to be first-round draft picks, I guarantee you. And I can't explain how excited I am because they're trusting the process. They're doing everything that whenever you say you want a player to be, you want them to be hardworking, you want them to be good people, and you want them to go out there and play football the right way. And they're doing all three of those things, and you don't hear about their names in any negative connotation. They're not out at night doing anything stupid. They're handling themselves in the correct manner, and they're very mature. And I think those two guys are the reason why this Alabama defense is starting to have a lot more success, because they're having a lot more success, and everybody's kind of following their image, and they're understanding that if these guys do this stuff right and they're doing it at a high level, then we need to follow their lead and do exactly what they're doing.
Let's stay on the line of scrimmage here. Let's go to the other side of the football. Deonte Brown at that left guard spot, battling with Lester Cotton for playing time, starting time. What'd you see from big Deonte Brown?
You know, I saw a little bit more physicality, and that's one of the things that I said during the game was Tennessee at the beginning of the game. I think it was the first drive. Damien Harris got tackled, or Najee Harris. I can't remember which one. And the defensive line from Tennessee threw him to the ground. And the Alabama offensive line just kind of stood there and was like, hey, are you going to do something? And I remember the old Alabama offensive line, Shank, Ryan Kelly, Austin Shepard, all those guys would have came over, and they would have probably pushed the Tennessee players back a little bit and showed them that they're not afraid, and they're not going to just put up with them like bullying their running backs like that, because you have a sense of pride. You have a little bit of swagger about yourself. You don't want that Tennessee volunteer defense to feel any type of seniority or manliness over you. You want to put your dominance over them, and they just threw him down, and the offensive line kind of stood there. And then this kid comes in, and the Alabama offensive line starts to get a little bit of meanness about themselves right now. I want them to be mean. I don't want them to be like, okay, we'll just go in there and do what we're supposed to do. No, we want to push these guys around. We want to step on their throat. That's the Alabama philosophy that we had. We don't talk about it. We just go out there on the football field and we literally try and pound your face into the ground.
Hey, Vinny, let's stop here and talk about Rounders. Certainly an individual that proudly presents Vinny every single Monday and Friday right here on the game. Let's stop and talk about Rounders, and then we'll move around to more college football.
You know, Rounders is across the strip from Publix with their 11 by 17-foot big screen TV, over 50 varieties of beers, including Peroni, which is my favorite. Their 30-plus televisions and their rooftop view of Bryant-Denny Stadium, their live music, and their Vegas-inspired Boom Boom Room is the place to go pregame and postgame in Tuscaloosa for game day spots. Go there, get rounded, and have a great time.
Vinny, final question as before we move to other college football. Damien Harris did not get the start, and I'm just going to use Nick Saban verbiage. I'm not going to try to assume what he did incorrectly, but I think it's something that he did incorrectly because Nick Saban said internal reasons that they didn't start him, and he just said, we'll leave it at that. Either way, we're talking about a senior that could be playing in the NFL. How loud is that message, whether he did something very, very minor, but when a player like Damien Harris, that's the leader, misses a start and doesn't get the start, how loud is that message to the other 100 guys on that football team when Damien Harris has to apply by the same rules that the guy that's a brand new player?
You know, it doesn't just speak volumes for him to the players that are on the football field. It speaks volumes for him to the NFL, because not only did we see that, but a lot of scouts were at that Tennessee-Alabama game, and they saw that Damien Harris wasn't starting on that football game. And they're thinking to themselves, one, what did he do to promote this? And two, if he's not good enough to be able to do this, then what's the guy behind him, or what's going on? You know what I mean? He needs to start producing. It's one of those things where he's been able to have a lot of success at Alabama, but so far this season, he hasn't had a lot of 100-yard rushing games. He hasn't had a lot of multi-touchdown games. It's one of those things where it's going to speak volumes to the rest of the football team, because Coach Saban's not afraid to sit anybody. If you don't do what he wants you to do and you don't act in the manner that he wants you to act, he'll put you down and he'll teach you that you go by his rules and you do everything that he wants you to do. But also, it's going to speak volumes to him, because it's probably going to motivate Damien Harris to go out there and try and do what he needs to do on the football field, because like you said, he's a senior and he wants to play on Sunday, but he's not playing on Sunday yet. And if he wants to play on Sunday, he needs to start producing at a higher level, especially if he wants to be one of those top 2 running backs off the board come April or May.
Vinny, you know the rule. You understand it. You've played with that rule in Impact. Devon White's been a major conversation here in this state. Will be suspended for the first half against Alabama from LSU, one of their certain leaders on that side of the football. Your thoughts about Devon White and the tackle, and did you think it was targeted?
You know, it's one of those things where you just don't want to do this. You don't want to put your team at a compromising position. And Alabama already is doing things at such a high level that if you take away one of your starters, it's just going to magnify what Alabama is going to be able to do against you. And offensively, you can't really help yourself in any way. And defensively, if something like this happens, we're just going to have more success, and we're probably going to blitz, we're probably going to pressure, we're probably going to do some things to take advantage of those opportunities. So never do you, as a player and a person on the team, especially when you look at your brothers, want to say that I can't be there with you for the start of this football game, let alone the start of a football game where it's going to be the number 1 team playing the number 4 team at night in Death Valley for possible chances to go to the SEC championship and possible chances to play for a national championship. So nobody wanted that less than him, but he has to learn from this and understand that he's going to be held accountable for everything that he does on and off the football field.
Hey, Vinny, Ohio State going down to Purdue. Your thoughts?
I love it. I can't believe that they went in there and got beat like that. I think that Purdue wasn't afraid of Ohio State, and they understood what Ohio State does. Whenever they were playing Penn State, not one time did that quarterback really look down the field to try and throw a pass, whether besides a deep ball, more than 15 yards. They understood that this quarterback was very limited. They understood that his passing game was all lateral and short game, and they took that away, and they said, let's let you beat us with your legs, and let's keep the ball in your hands, and they did that, and they had a lot of success. And I think a lot of other teams are going to see this and do a lot of the same things, and I think Ohio State's going to struggle the second half of this year.
It is certainly going to be a topic of conversation. All right, Vinny, I want you to answer this question, and you always give us fair analysis. How big of the gap from everything that you've seen as that we try to review the first 8 weeks between Alabama and the rest of college football that's competing for a chance to play with Alabama?
You know, I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible because I went to Alabama. I do love Alabama. I love Coach Saban. I thought that Tua Tagovailoa, I said it back in the spring, I thought Tua Tagovailoa was going to be incredible because I saw him in the same place that I saw Drew Brees throw a football, and I thought there was a lot of comparisons between them. But what they've been able to do and how they've been able to play as a football team is something far beyond, especially on the offensive side of the ball, than I've ever anticipated. And I'm just blown away. And I think you give the Heisman Trophy to Tua Tagovailoa right now because I don't think anybody else in the country is competing with him on a level because if you take away every quarterback statistics from the fourth quarter and compare them to Tua Tagovailoa, then they don't even compete. And Tua's doing this without doing it in the fourth quarter. So he's putting up numbers that most kids dream about doing for 4 quarters in a football game, and he's doing them in 3 or less. And these wide receivers, I think we have 3 first-round wide receivers. I think we have 2 to 3 first or second-round running backs. I think our tight end is going to go first round, and I think Tua Tagovailoa has a chance to present himself with 1 or 2 Heisman trophies and possibly be a first overall pick in the next coming years.
Well, as I said earlier, and I said as I opened up the segment, man, you guys, I'm talking about you guys that have been this Nick Saban era, you've given us a lot of satisfaction here in Tuscaloosa, man. I had to sit around here and watch Tennessee beat Alabama 7 years in a row. I had to watch Peyton Manning do his thing against Alabama. I had to watch Jason Witten, we're talking about 2 Hall of Fame guys, do their thing against Alabama. And for us to be sitting here in Tuscaloosa with 12 straight over those nasty, nasty Tennessee Volunteers, life is good, man.
Hey, no doubt it's good, and I really don't see it changing as long as Nick Saban's sitting in that driver's seat of this Alabama Crimson Tide football team.
Camellia Place Condos, refining Tuscaloosa, game day luxury living. Tell us more about Camellia Place.
Camellia Place luxury condos with their New York-inspired and styled amenities. Great locations, being steps away from the Coleman Coliseum and Bryant-Denny Stadium, developed by the same builder that built the Chimes and Champions Place in the heart of Tuscaloosa. Check out Camellia Place at www.cameliaplace.com, and you'll find yourself at the spot for Tuscaloosa game day luxury living.
Camellia Place, certainly a great place here in Tuscaloosa. Vinny, as always, thank you again, and we'll talk to you on Friday. We've got a lot of great games, even though it's a bye week for the University of Alabama. We'll certainly have a lot of things to preview, man. Thank you again for being a part of the show.
Hey, Florida, Georgia this weekend is going to be one heck of a football game in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Are you going to slide on over to Jacksonville, or do you got to go back to the NYC?
I'm gonna go back to NYC because I don't want to have any headaches for my family that weekend. But I can't wait to talk about that football game because we can definitely digest a lot of Jake Fromm and Felipe Franks and then compare about what they're going to be able to do on Saturday.
I can't wait, man. Vinny, thank you again, man.
Thank you.